So you've heard me talk a lot about a ton of neighborhoods in Virginia Beach. I love the city, but there are some real small neighborhoods, some obscure ones, some ones you don't really hear about very much that I think are some of the best neighborhoods in the city that just don't get talked about very much for a variety of reasons. But today I'm going to talk to you about some of those neighborhoods that you have never heard of and I don't want to talk about very much. And we'll go through them all coming up. Hey, my name is Sam Sansalone and I'm a real estate agent in the Hampton Roads area. That goes from Virginia Beach and through Williamsburg, and I do videos every week about living and moving to the area. So what I'm going to do is go through all the price ranges, anywhere from 300s upwards over $1 million, to give you some different ideas of neighborhoods that if you're targeting certain ones and you're like, okay, I want to live in Kings Grant, or I want to live in, Red Mill or Asheville Park, or going through all the rest of Virginia Beach, there are some real popular neighborhoods. And I'm going to go through the map to show you where all these neighborhoods are so you can figure out if these are good neighborhoods to add to your search. So you're not just looking at those popular ones that everybody talks about. You can find some real nice nooks. I love Virginia Beach for those reasons. So number one is going to be Chelsea and Green Hill Farms. And this neighborhood, it's two together, and it's really three together, including Meadow Ridge, that connect and make one civic league. But where is it on the map? It is, if you look at the map, there is Great Neck. And I've talked a lot about Great Neck. On the north side of Great Neck, and these are some real nice houses over here, there are some houses right off of North Great Neck Road, right near Broad Bay. And this is where Green Hill Farms and Chelsea are located. See where all this greenery is, this tree-covered area? This is Chelsea and Green Hill Farms. So one of my favorite streets in all of Virginia Beach is Green Hill Road, which as you drive into Green Hill Farms, it's like tree-lined street as you go all the way back. It is fantastic. And these houses are pretty big. They can be big, anywhere from like the 2,500 square foot range to 3,000, 4,000 and up square feet. And also the sizes mean also larger prices and also sometimes larger lots too. So these are starting in the 7s and 8s to get in. And then when you get in there, like as you get into Green Hill Farms, the prices go up over $1 million very quickly into an area where even in the back corner of Green Hill Farms, one of my I think is my favorite corner in almost anywhere in Virginia Beach. It's a nice little street. As you drive off there's a pond called Lovett's Pond. As you drive around that pond, these houses are not only very cool, unique, and of course close to Broad Bay, but you don't even realize that this area exists. And so there's some historic houses back here. One is called the John Lovett's House on 1721 Lovett's Pond Road, built in 1793. So some of the oldest construction in all of Hampton Roads is on this street. They're built mostly in the 70s, like Chelsea, for example, in the 70s, but Green Hill Farms will start getting into the 80s. So if you want a bigger house, a little bit bigger lot in most cases, and again, on the water, some of the most sought after waterfront property and water access property in all of Virginia Beach. These are going to be over $1 million, $1 million, $2 million. I've seen them over $3 million along the water on Broad Bay. So you can take the water up over around towards Lynn Haven Inlet. It is fantastic. So if you can spend $700, $800 to start, or over $1 million to get some pristine premier waterfront property, this is an area I think of anywhere in Virginia Beach is one of my favorites. Now, it doesn't get talked about very much because the neighborhoods aren't very big, number one, and two, they don't sell very much in here. They don't go on the market very much, and so that also is a nice proof that for how many houses are actually in here, not many are selling. Definitely proof that people, when they get here, they don't move. Now, a drawback to living in Chelsea or Green Hill Farms is just mainly it's the price. You're paying for it. Now, you're getting a lot for it, but again, I'd say the biggest drawback is the price. Also, the relationship of where the houses are located in relation to maybe the rest of Virginia Beach, that kind of bothers me, which is one of my drawbacks to living in parts of Great Neck. However, where you are in relation to access to getting out of Great Neck is not that bad. So you see North Great Neck Road here. The neighborhood just of Chelsea and Green Hill Farms is right here. You can just hit up to Shore Drive, and now you're connected to the rest of Virginia Beach. It's not that bad, but it's still kind of annoying in my opinion. So now we're going to flip to go into the $300,000 to close to $500,000 price range. And one of my favorite neighborhoods in the upper 3s and low 4s is a neighborhood called Carol Ann Farms. And if you look on the map, zooming out, going down further from there, down towards the western side, it's kind of almost southwestern side of Virginia Beach. There's the 264. Then you have Princess Anne Road, this long road that goes all the way down through Virginia Beach. But the middle of Princess Anne Road, there's a street, neighborhood called Arrowhead. Well, next to Arrowhead, see Susquehanna Drive right here? Caroline Farms is all through here. And why I like Caroline Farms is because, number one, it's understated. You have some ranch houses in the 1,200, 1,500 square foot range, in the 300, 350s, 375 range. Then you have houses 2,000 and up in the same neighborhood that are 4 bedrooms, sometimes even 5 bedrooms, and you can get those in the 425 to maybe 450 range. So you're not really spending a ton for what you're getting, and the neighborhood itself feels great. I love it. So you get an established neighborhood, established trees. You don't feel like you're in like a real sterile neighborhood, you know what I mean? And so as you go further south toward, you can get houses near the water, the Elizabeth River, that connects down to the south part of Caroline Farms, which also has lots of nature. There's a park that's on the edge of Caroline Farms too. So zooming in there, you see right down, there's a trail all the way down to a kayak and canoe launch right on the end, at the end of the trail down near the Elizabeth River. So this is kind of a sneaky value that you can find for $400,000 in Virginia Beach. So Caroline Farms, again, it's not the entire neighborhood. So because I'm fine with Arrowhead. Arrowhead's fine. Like it's just a different feel to me, and different types of houses also in a lot of cases too. So these aren't really that fancy. They're built in the 70s. You'll see some in the 60s. But while you're not getting something super elaborate, you're also getting a lot for what you're paying for. And so for the price, this is one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of Virginia Beach. However, again, based on the size of the neighborhood, and also I think the stability of the neighborhood, the houses don't go on the market very much here. So I would keep this neighborhood in mind. If you want to find a house in the 400 price range, it's just nice established neighborhood, nice community. People that here have also often been here for a long time. I have several friends that live in the neighborhood. I love Caroline Farms for what you get for the money. Drop back to Caroline Farms is, again, you're close to some areas onto like Princess Anne Road, that the strip malls and the shopping, it just kind of feels old and kind of grungy. I don't really mind it personally. I'm used to. I grew up in an area around here, so I'm used to it. But it just doesn't feel like it. So if you're coming from a different part of the country or world, it feels like an old kind of rundown part of Princess Anne Road. Now zooming out, there's another neighborhood in the 5s and 6s that over into the central, kind of the north central part of Virginia Beach, that you talk about Little Neck, right? And you also talk about Great Neck. The 2 necks, and I've done videos about the 2 necks, Great Neck here, Little Neck here. Well, there's a little tiny neck in the middle of here that you don't, again, people don't talk about very much. I don't talk about very much, off of Virginia Beach Boulevard, called Chesapeake Colony, which you see this whole peninsula here. This is the neighborhood, and these houses are built in the 50s, mostly 60s, and so off the water, 6s-ish, 700 range. On the water, you're talking 900 at least, and over $1 million, because it's hard to find waterfront property under $850 on prime property, prime waterfront anywhere in Virginia Beach. Mostly, these are going to be a little bit older, brick ranch in some cases, some 2-story. You get a variety here. But what I like about the neighborhood is that when you drive in here, there's a lot of tree coverage, and so if you don't like trees, this might not be the right neighborhood for you. And so as you drive in, it feels real established. And so for example, like a place like Thalia, a place like Larkspur, a place like Kings Grant that has a ton of trees. And so I like that a lot. And it's kind of secluded because, again, unless you have a reason to go into the neighborhood, people don't come back here. Now, a drawback is that where it's located in the range of the Oceana Naval Air Station, you're going to hear some jet noise. Definitely. So you hear a lot of jet noise around Lynn Haven Mall, and it's just north of Lynn Haven Mall. You see the Oceana Naval Air Station right here. It's just northwest of it. And so where the flight patterns are, you're going to hear some jets. I'd just be very aware of that as a drawback. Now, speaking of more jet noise, we're going to go over the other side of the Oceana Naval Air Station and go to a neighborhood that I do like a lot. If you're okay with jet noise, I like this neighborhood a lot, which is Prince George Estates. So going again, you see Oceana right here, right down here. This little street, these sections of streets right here, not too many houses. You're pushing close to like just over 100 maybe. The houses in here are a little bit larger. You're talking like mostly 28 and over square foot, 3,000 plus, 4 to 5 bedrooms. You got open floor plans. It's a bit newer, built in the late 2000s, so 15 years old. The thing about this for me is that the lots are just a bit bigger than what you might find in other houses in similar age ranges. So as you get closer to newer houses, it's harder to find those larger lots. Now, in Prince George Estates, a lot of these lots are almost half an acre. And so, a lot of neighborhoods that are built like in, 2015 or 2010, you see like maybe 0.33, a third of an acre or less, maybe a quarter of an acre. Well, getting that extra little bump of land to me is interesting, and it adds that extra little space between you and your neighbors. It doesn't mean that the rest of the neighborhood is that super exciting. And again, you got the jet noise. The houses are fine. I like the houses. It's just that you've seen these before, like the open floor plans, newer-ish kind of style houses, and they're fine. And for the price, you're paying upwards of 6s and 7s mostly. You're going to see them get into the 8s now. And so you might feel like, well, am I paying the right amount for what I'm getting? You can find houses in this size in different places, but I do think it's hard to find the size house with the lot size in other places anywhere close to where this one is, where Prince George Estates is. So I do think that's a benefit and a reason that I would put this on the list. Again, the drawback would be the jet noise is, to me, the biggest drawback, and I don't like jet noise, so you hear me talk about that a lot. Now, speaking of lot size, but not jet noise, if you like that type of thing, going up to Little Neck, I love Little Neck. My favorite of the two necks is Little Neck. The north part of Little Neck has a neighborhood that it's got Kings Grant is talked about a lot. Middle Plantation talked about a lot. But on the north side, on the west side of the peninsula of Little Neck, is a neighborhood that doesn't get seen very much. It's called Redwood Farms. Now, Redwood Farms is off of Little Neck Road. You see this right here. See these little streets right here? It's one of my favorite neighborhoods in the whole city. The reason is because the lot sizes are bigger than even what I just said with Prince George Estates. We're talking closer to an acre and sometimes over an acre. They're built in the 70s mostly. But if you're okay with a little bit older house, you're going to get a nice house, got some character to it. The neighborhood is fantastic, very quiet, but the lots are fabulous. And so you're in a neighborhood in an area that's already quiet. Little Neck is quiet, a big cul-de-sac. And then you turn and you're in this even more secluded area that has big, big lots. So the house prices are going to be mostly starting in you can get them in the 7s, but really most of these are going to be in the 8s and up. And on the water, you're talking, well over $1 million. $2 million plus sometimes on the water. There aren't too many houses in the neighborhood, period. But if you are open to this size, and the sizes are going to be 2,500 and up, 3,000 and up, if you're okay with that size, you also want that lot size, and you have some patience, I would be willing to wait it out to try and find one if you want that type of house. Now, it might still take a while. You see like maybe 2, 3, maybe they hit on the market in Redwood Farms in any given year. I think there was like 5 or 6 in 2021, and I think 2 or 3 in 22 and in 23. I haven't even seen one hit the market in 2024 yet. So that's how few you'll see hit the market. So if you're okay with some patience, I do think that this one's worth waiting for, and it's hard to replicate what you can find in Redwood Farm. Drawback is going to be you're going to be waiting a while possibly for how many houses do hit the market in the neighborhood. So I just say be patient, or you might not be able to get what you want. Now next is a newer neighborhood that if you're going to look at combination of age, styles of houses, and exclusivity, just as far as not many houses go on the market, not a big neighborhood, under 50 houses, and also school district checks the box, everything. You're going to find that Matthews Green is one of the most overlooked and I think one of the best neighborhoods in all of Virginia Beach. And where is it? Going down closer to Princess Anne Road, down on the farther south side. See, there's Sherwood Lakes. We did a video about Sherwood Lakes recently. But then you zoom in even further. There's the Princess Anne Road, Journal Booth Boulevard intersection right here. This little cul-de-sac right here is Matthews Green. These houses are built in the 2015-ish range, and there are several builders that built in here, one of which was Stephen Alexander, which if you see Stephen Alexander homes, they are a cut above, or just a cut different than what you would see in a lot of other types of houses. One of the things that they do is they use a lot of windows to bring in the natural light to make the floor plan feel just like a magazine. You get buckets and buckets of this light coming in from different directions. The floor plans are very open, so if you like that, this also checks the box in a Stephen Alexander house, and so specifically in Matthews Green, they built some in here. But these houses are going to be mostly over $1 million, $900 to start, but $1 million and up from there. And so they're not very common on the market. They're a little bit on the higher end price range, but if you're okay with that and you want this style house, and you don't want something like the HOA that Asheville Park may have, and you're paying the same amount for a new house, but might be paying 1.1, 1.2 for a new house, but it may be smaller lot, or the HOA is pretty high. You want to pivot. If you can find one in Matthews Green, you get a nice open floor plan, an amazing style house. For what you're paying, I'm a big fan. Most of these are going to be a little bit larger too, like 3,000 plus square feet. So you definitely want to be prepared for some size. Now the drawback is going to be just the price, really. Again, the higher the price you go, the main drawback is just going to be the price, because you're paying for everything that you might want. I'd say maybe if I was being nitpicky, the lot size, maybe get them a little bit bigger. They're about like almost a third of an acre. They're not super small. So I would say that's probably the biggest drawback, is just going to be the price. Now, next is going to be back in the $375 to $450 price range. Even getting closer to $5 is a neighborhood on the western side, closer to Caroline Farms, but it's more of a rustic feel in the middle of the suburbs where you get a bunch of planned out lots. Well, this is a different neighborhood called Acredale. Acredale is right off of Indian River Road and Kempsville Road, just near there's a post office. Go across the street from the post office, and it's right in here. This is Acredale. It's right close to Indian Lakes as well. If you've been looking up neighborhoods, Indian Lakes, Stratford Chase on the north side, it's right sandwiched in between there. And so these houses are very interesting because you get 3-bedroom houses, 1.5 baths. You can get 4 bedrooms with maybe even 1 bath. There's some weird floor plans in here. You'll still see some that are pretty standard, 3, 2.5, 4, 2.5, that are 2,000 and up square feet. But you're going to find some weird styles and sizes in here. 1,300 square feet is not crazy to find in Acredale, which can also bring the prices lower. So you can find houses in Acredale in the $350, $375 price range if you get lucky and find the right house. Most of these will be in the $400-ish price range. You'll even find some closer to $5 right now. I just saw one that was sold over $5, but generally speaking, they'll be in the $4s. These are built mostly in the $50s and the $60s, but what I like about this neighborhood is that these streets don't have sidewalks. Now, I do like sidewalks. Don't get me wrong. It's like, well, what's the point? Why do you like things that are less fun? Well, I like this because you don't feel like you're in a subdivision. You don't feel like you're in a planned neighborhood. And I do like what you can get in those types of neighborhoods, but I do like the kind of the off the beaten path kind of feel that you get in a place like Acredale. So you don't have the sidewalks. You have some ditches along the sides of the roads, and this could be a drawback to a lot of people, just mind you. And it's even a drawback to me in some cases, but I just like that it's different. And I like that it's different in a place that's hard to find things that feel different, especially in the price range that Acredale is. So while it's not a super small neighborhood, it also is better. You can possibly get a better chance of getting a house in Acredale in the 400s price range. And it's super central. Like, you're close to lots of grocery stores, lots of main roads, Kempsville and Indian River Road. You can get to the interstates very easily. It's the access to the rest of the city in Norfolk and Chesapeake is pretty great. And it takes you like 20 minutes to get to a lot of places, which it's not going to take you forever to get somewhere necessarily, but it's not going to be necessarily 5 minutes either. And so I'm a fan of this neighborhood for all those reasons. Drawbacks are going to be mainly no sidewalks. Some of these floor plans are a bit weird, and you get some that are small, and you get people that did additions to the backs of the houses, so it just kind of feels choppy in some of these floor plans. But that also being said, the lots are often big enough to where you can get additions built and still have a nice yard size. So even the drawbacks can be positives in some cases. So now we're going to go into the 70s time period, going back to Great Neck, not the higher priced, Chelsea Greenhill Farms, $900, $1,000. Now we're talking about a neighborhood closer to the central part of Great Neck, in an area close to First Colonial Road, in a neighborhood called Lake Trent. Now, right next to another neighborhood called Laurel Cove, which is right above it. This section right here is where Lake Trent is. And now it's right off of Great Neck Road, close to First Colonial Road. And so it's very convenient in a lot of parts of Great Neck. Now, what I like about this neighborhood too is you don't see many go on the market. There aren't too many of them, but they have very interesting floor plans. And you see, as you drive by, a lot of these houses have real tall windows, ranch style, but tall windows closer to the ground, but they allow more natural light. And a lot of the houses in the 70s, in 60s, they don't always bring in a lot of natural light. And so I do like the fact that these have larger windows to allow for more natural light. They're going to be mostly like in the 18 to 3,000 square foot size range. And they're going to be in like starting in the 550 range, and you can get closer to the 7s and the 8 along the water range. But most of these are going to be like in the 6s, I'd say. So you're not going to get super cheap, but most of Great Neck is going to be in the like 5 and up range. So it's hard to find anything under 550 anyway. So I do like the unique unique styles of these houses compared to what you're going to be paying for them. And again, it's in Great Neck, and it's also in an area that is, you can get to Whole Foods, you can get to Trader Joe's pretty easily because you're closer to Hilltop than other parts of Great Neck. The drawback to this neighborhood in general area is going to be jet noise. So let's stay on the topic of weird or unique houses. This neighborhood is around a lake. It's hard to find a lake this size with houses around it, but the houses are super unique. This one is called Lake Christopher, and I've done a video about Lake Christopher before, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I should make another one. But if you look on the southwestern side, closer to where it says Acredale, cross the street on Indian River Road, this area right here is Lake Christopher. It's right next to or near, across from Lake James. And it's also next to Brigadoon, which is a neighborhood I love a lot for the price as well. I've talked a lot about it in other videos. Lake Christopher is mostly in the 4s and 5s price range. But for the size of house, you're like, well, what am I paying for? These are going to be like 16, 17-ish, up to 20, maybe 2,500 square feet, maybe on the higher end. But what you get is a very strong civic league. The neighborhood's been around for 50 years. It celebrated its 50th anniversary just like 2-3 weeks ago. So you got a tight community, but you also have the houses. It's hard to find houses like this. You just get kind of a vibe that's different than you may have ever seen in Virginia Beach or even close to it. The houses are going to be built in the 70s, but what makes this even more attractive is that you get a park along the water. So you get the park with views of Lake Christopher, and you get a little nice little sandy area that kind of like a beach along that park. But then if you're on the water, you're going to be paying over $5, but the water is fantastic. You can see water out of your windows and in your backyard more than almost any other neighborhood close to it in Virginia Beach. This is a man-made lake, but it has the vibe of a lakefront property that is hard to find in the area. Now you say, well, Sam, there's a lot of water in Virginia Beach and in the area. Why is this so unique? Well, there are lakes, there are, like tributaries and streams and fingers of the Elizabeth River that break off. And so you have that water access in other parts of the area. But the expansiveness of the views of the lake from your property, that's what's hard to replicate. And you can just take it out. It's a private lake too. So you can't just go out there as a rando from a different part of the city or a different part of the area. You have to be a resident of Lake Christopher to use the amenities that Lake Christopher has. So it is in an HOA. I'm a big fan of Lake Christopher and the types of houses that it has. And it's also, like with Acredale, very convenient to other parts of town. So I like it a lot for the $400 to the $550 price range, either off the water or on the water. Now, the drawback, I'd say, would be the lot sizes can be really small or weird shaped. The backyards can be kind of crammed, especially off the water. So it's not a place that you can really spread out a ton, but you're going to get a really interesting house for the price. So this is one, if you get kind of bored with the norm, Lake Christopher, I think, could be for you. Now we're going to go to another one that I never mentioned this neighborhood before in a video, I don't think, and I probably should have. But if you go back towards Red Mill, people love Red Mill, down towards even Sherwood Lakes, where I mentioned before, in other areas, near Asheville Park, down the southwestern side of Virginia Beach, there is Princess Anne Road. Well, if you come off Princess Anne Road, and you see the lakes right here, the Sherwood Lakes right here, before you get there, there's a street, Munden Farms Lane, which it turns into the estates at Munden Farms. They don't really go on the market very much. So I think that interests me. Any neighborhood that doesn't sell very often interests me. These are going to be starting in the 9 and up range. The top end is going to be closer to 1.2, 1.3, and bigger houses. 3,000 and up mostly. There's only like 75 houses in the neighborhood, so there aren't that many in here. But even for the amount of houses that there are, most of them don't sell. They don't go on the market very much. Well, the reason I don't like it is because it feels so wide open. The lot sizes aren't even that small. They're maybe almost 1/3 of an acre. It's fine. For the size of the house, it's not bad. But what I don't like about this neighborhood is that as you drive in, it feels like you're exposed to the whole neighborhood. Now, these are newer houses, so you kind of have to expect that to a certain degree, and that's just kind of how it works. I think because there aren't as many houses, it kind of feels a bit more spread out a little bit, and you're surrounded by sections of property around the neighborhood that are just flat farmland. I think it makes it feel even more wide open, and you kind of feel more exposed, as opposed to a place like, for example, Matthews Green, mentioned earlier. That's not even that much older than Munden Farms, but you start seeing the trees grow a little bit, but it's not even that covered by trees there. Around Matthews Green, you have more woods, so you feel like you're kind of insulated, and even though the neighborhood isn't super established. So like with Munden Farms, you do have that kind of exposed feel that I'm just not a big fan of, but the houses are nice, big wide open floor plans, that newer floor plan style. You got the school district demand of places like Kellam School District, and you get lots of shopping nearby. Places like Red Mill Commons, all the Strawbridge, the great shopping centers near there, the restaurants and all that. And you're also not that far away from Sandbridge, which is only like 10, 12 minutes away from Munden Farms as well. So you have lots of access to cool stuff, but again, I'd say the drawback is going to be, you're going to be feeling pretty exposed maybe to other parts of the area around you. And also another drawback would be that you're in the southeastern corner of Virginia Beach, which if you live in the area and you want to, spend the rest of your time there and you have friends that live there, it doesn't feel that bad. But as you want to get out into Norfolk or other parts of Virginia Beach or Chesapeake or the peninsula, it can feel like a hike to get there. So being close into near Munden Farms, fine. Driving, commuting to other parts of the city or the rest of the Virginia Beach area can be frustrating. So that would be another drawback as well. So for me, I do like the neighborhood, but if I was going to pick between that and Matthews Green, I'd pick Matthews Green. So if you have any more questions about relocating to Virginia Beach or the area around Virginia Beach, so from Virginia Beach through Williamsburg, let me know. It's what I do. I love helping people relocate to the area. So if you have any questions, I have my contact information in the description. You can reach out at any point and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. And I will see you on the next video.